Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this little guy right here, Internal Affairs. This has been picked up by Cryptozoic for, I believe, U.S. distribution, so you'll be seeing it here pretty soon this year. It's a hit and roll game where you are part of a team. Either you are a team of police officers or you're on a team of Triad operatives or moles, and you're trying to figure out who other people are. The whole point of the game is to make two people on the opposing team turn over all three of their ID cards, and once your team has accomplished that, they are the winners. But in order to do that, you have to crack a numerical code that is in front of each of those players. So let's get to the table and I'll show you. The whole point of the game is to have one team, which are the Triad Moles or the police officers, ferret out at least two of the other team members. The way you flip over the ID cards is by cracking the code cards that are in front of them. Now, that doesn't mean that if this code number is correctly guessed, then this card has to be flipped over. That's not how it works. Any one of these is guessed, any one of these can be flipped over. These code cards have different numbers values on them. There are 3 copies of each number, values 1 to 15, in the code number deck. At the beginning of the game, these are dealt out to you. You get 5 of them. Then you have to choose 3 to go face down in ascending numerical order from left to right. So this number, for example, we'll just show it, is a 3. This one is an 11, and this one is a 14. Now, what would have to happen here is somebody else would have to guess that this card is an 11 before it is flipped over. So when it is flipped over, then one of these cards would have to be also flipped over. All right, so that's generally how you're going to break who you're going to have to get people to flip over their ID cards by guessing the correct code number up here. Your turn consists of 3 phases in which you can do a number of different things. The first phase, you have a choice of 4 things. You can only do one of them, but you can do any of these once. The first thing you can do is you can play a code card from your hand onto somebody else's. They would take this card and say, you need to put this in your sequence where it belongs. So in this particular sequence, you remember that this is a 3, 11, and a 14. This card would have to go in between these 2 code cards. So it is in ascending numerical order, so that now everybody knows that this card is less than a 5, or it's equal to a 5, and then this card is equal to or greater than a 5. The second thing you would be able to do in phase 1, if you chose to do so, is to play a red or a green action card from your hand. Red action cards have a red icon on them. Green ones have a green icon on them. This one allows you to guess a code card. This guy lets you take one of your code cards from your hand and place it down into your row, taking that one back up. So you can switch your code up throughout the course of the game with that one. Take a card from someone else. You can from their hand. Here, a green action card allows you to switch your ID card, one of your ID cards, with someone to your left or your right, and the person who plays this card gets to choose. Then everybody else follows suit. This one, you get to choose what player you do it, and it's just the 2 of you that have to switch ID cards. And then here would be a specific direction. You would switch one of your, actually everyone would switch one of your ID cards with the person on your right. And then there's another one in there that's for your left as well. So that's the second thing you could do in phase 1, is play either a red or a green action card from your hand. The third thing that you have the choice to do in phase 1 is to look at someone's face down ID card. Only one of them though. You would choose which one you want to look at. You would flip it over, look at it, and that gives you a little bit of information. And then fourthly, what you could choose to do in phase 1 is simply discard a card from your hand, because it's not useful to you or what have you. From there, you would move on to phase 2, and in phase 2, you simply get to guess an opponent's code card on the table. And then phase 3 is simply drawing back up to 4 cards. So if you played cards from your hand or you discarded a card in phase 1, you would then be able to draw back up to 4, and that would be the end of your turn. Goes to the next person, they conduct their turn. So the whole point of the game is to really kind of figure out what these codes are, what these code numbers are, so that the person has to, and then in turn, turn over different cards. So for example, you say this is a 3, so it would be turned over, yes, it's a 3. And so he would turn over this guy. He wouldn't have to turn over the one that's right below it, but he could. All right, and so then later on, somebody says, I think this is either a 13, 14, or 15. I'll guess 14. And so they get it right, and now he has to turn over another one. So he looks at the 2 that he has below him, and he doesn't actually have a choice. So he turns this one over. So now that it is clear that he is definitely a good guy, he's a police officer, normally, even though he's pegged, you know who he is, he's still able to be in the game because his 3rd card has not yet been turned over. But once his 3rd card is turned over and it's absolutely clear who this guy is, he would then be out of the game. And you might be saying, well, that seems awfully elementary, rudimentary, and not very fun. Well, there is a little bit of a twist in there, because there are also blue action cards that can be played on your turn in defense. So basically, if you played this guy, if somebody guesses your correct code number, making you turn over one of your ID cards, you can play this card, and anybody else who has a 3 in their code has to also turn over their code and one of their ID cards. Here, you can simply refuse to answer the question, is this a 3? I play this card, I don't have to answer you. Here, you can actually deflect the question. So if somebody asks you, is this a 3? You can say, no, don't ask me, ask this person over here. And then they would have to answer correctly. And then if it is correct, flip over the card and one of their ID cards. But the whole point of the game is really trying to deduce what the 3 code cards are, so that you can then in turn make them flip over their ID cards. The first team to flip over, to find out exactly, having flipped over all 3 of their ID cards of 2 opposing players, then they're the winners. So that is Internal Affairs. It plays and it feels a lot like a game like Good Cop, Bad Cop, or something to that effect, where you have 3 roll cards in front of you, and you're trying to keep your identity hidden as much as possible, so that you can last throughout the end of the game. I think that the gameplay is simple. It's easy, it's not difficult at all. The difficulty comes in with trying to deduce which numbers are which in each of the different players' codes in front of their ID cards. And then there's the social aspect of, well, that person has a Triad ID card and a police officer ID card. What is that 3rd one? And you're trying to deduce by what they're doing on their turns what that 3rd card might be. So you kind of have to guess a little bit sometimes, because once that 3rd card is turned over, they're out of the game. So you're trying, if you think based on how they're acting, they're on your team, you have to kind of protect them by not going after them. You don't want to flip over that 3rd card, because then they're out of the game. So there is a player elimination aspect to it that's not as heavy as other games could have been, but this game does play fast enough to where the elimination doesn't really hurt that much. Now, with number count, you can play the game with less than 5 players. It has special rules for that, but really this is a 5 to 8 player game. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it would be fun with less than 5, because it is more fun with the more people you have in it. So I do enjoy the game with that aspect. I like games that can carry and really should carry a high player count, and in doing so, the length of the game is not elongated very much, which is very true with this game. So I like that games do that. However, I think that other games like Good Cop, Bad Cop do what this game is trying to do a lot better. In that they're more streamlined, they are more simple to play, and so forth and so on. Now, the caveat being here, I don't really like puzzly or especially numerically puzzly games. And that's what this one kind of is. Instead of just trying to guess what there are and making them turn over, like in Good Cop, Bad Cop, you can aim at someone and shoot them, and they have to turn over ID card. You don't have to guess what number is in front of the ID card or what have you like that. They just have to do that. Here, you're also trying to find out what that numerical code is. So if you like that kind of stuff, this is right down your alley, and you might even enjoy this more than Good Cop, Bad Cop. But I really do think I enjoy Good Cop, Bad Cop a lot more than this one. Now, I do think I also have to say that table talk in this game must be at a minimum. And the reason I say that is because we did have an experience while we were going through and playing the game where one person deduced a little bit more quickly than everybody else who was on what team, and they blabbed about it, kind of took on a little bit of an alpha gamer role, and ruined the game for everybody else. So it was very clear after he just kind of spilled the beans who was on what teams, and that really diminished the enjoyment of everybody else in the game for that one game that we played. So I just say this as a warning. You might want to decide on the onset collectively that you're just going to keep table talk to a minimum so that everybody's enjoyment of the game is not tainted by somebody else figuring out first who everybody else is. Now, that can still be a positive thing for you if you like a little bit more of a cranial experience in games. Or that could be a negative thing if you want a little bit more of a boisterous, outgoing type of experience in a game. So take that into account. You might want to keep table talk to a minimum. I don't know if Cryptozoic is going to be making any changes or design choices or anything like that. I will say that all of the cards are black bordered, which is problematic because black bordered cards show their age and their wear a lot more than white bordered cards do. So maybe Cryptozoic will be making some design choices like that. Maybe. If not, and you do pick up this game and you want it, you're going to probably have to sleeve it. So that is Internal Affairs. It is not a bad game. I'm going to give it one thumb up because I did enjoy playing the game. I just think that Good Cop, Bad Cop is a little bit better. So that will be my game of choice for this genre, the fast card play for a hidden role game. So that is Internal Affairs. One thumb up for me. We'll see you on the flip side, folks.